people who were shot yesterday by the federal officers through some criminal cases out in Washington County.
That's Portland, Oregon Police Chief Bob Day. It is believed the two suspects who were wounded are affiliated with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Another record-setting day for the major indexes on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 237 points, and the Nasdaq picked up 191. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-893-2288. That's 800-893-2288.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage, no medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ETHOS.com/term.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
A major initiative underway in New York City in the form of free childcare.
This is the day that everything changes.
Governor Hochul calls the initiative a transformative step toward easing New York's notoriously high cost of living. The plan is for the program to begin slowly, focusing first on high-end areas selected by the city, then expanding gradually over years until it becomes a universal program.
We take one step to realizing a city where every New Yorker, every family, every child can afford to keep calling it their home.
I'm Ed Donahue.
The very first snap of the Peach Bowl pretty much summed up what kind of night it would be for Oregon last night. A pick six put Dante Moore and the Ducks in an immediate hole. Number one, Indiana romped into the national championship game with a 56-22 blowout of the fifth-seeded Oregon Ducks in the college football playoff semifinal. Breaking news and analysis at Town Hall.
Matches back here in the Mac Z-Cliner. I'm recovering from surgery thanks in large part to this miracle chair, the Mac Z-Cliner. You can sit in it, you can recline in it, you can watch TV in it, you can eat in it, you can sleep in it. It goes to zero gravity position. The Mac Z-Cliner helped me recover. It also has heat and massage, a place to charge your cell phone. Come out to Gallery Furniture, buy a Mac Z-Cliner before your surgery. Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, or after your surgery, Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, and you'll sit and sleep great tonight.
At O'Hara & Company Real Estate, we believe there are people in our country and other countries that are trying to chip away at our freedom. We are taking a stand against the tyranny that is happening and want to protect what our veterans and forefathers have fought and died for. Texans are independent thinkers, self-reliant, and bold. If you want a real estate company that has a backbone, give us a call at 281-373-3393. Again, that's 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at oharare.com.
Checker Pro Joe here. Don't miss the Checker Pro Radio Show, your trusted source for home service pros. This week, we're featuring Bel Air Air Conditioning, keeping Houston cool and comfortable. Tune in every Friday at noon right here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
The leaders.
Senator Ted Cruz.
Thank you, Chris. It's always great to be with you.
Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker.
Hey, thanks for having us on. I appreciate it very much.
The newsmakers.
Folks like Peter Schweitzer.
Hey, Chris, it's great to be on with you.
Ann Coulter.
Great to be here, Chris. Thank you.
And the day's top stories with spot-on analysis.
Their first concern is not for the security and safety of the people of this country. Their first concern is protecting their left-wing behinds.
The Chris Salcedo Show on The Voice of Texas.
We're excited to welcome Shannon Bream's Fox News Sunday Show.
Okay, sir, stand by.
You can hear the show Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Shannon has all the big news stories of the week. Don't miss it. Fox News Sunday with Shannon Bream, 10 a.m. Sunday mornings on KSEV and KGBC, the voice of Texas.
Where should I begin?
Can we talk about this?
Say, what are you trying to say?
Beyond the usual controversial talk.
Blah, 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 on and on and on. Over there. No.
1, 2, cha-cha-cha. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha.
Prepare yourself.
Okay.
For Craig.
Okay.
Preparing a mighty new spectacle here.
Articulate. Stimulating. Hit you right in the... there you go.
We start becoming a team right
This is the Craig Collins Show.
Lord Jesus, oh Lord, no.
Start talking. Talk fast.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Now your host.
He's a good man.
Craig.
That's right. This is the Craig Collins Show on the Voice of Texas, KSEV, KGBC. Thrilled to be with you for the hour. Lots of stuff that I could potentially talk about, and yet only two topics that I actually really want to discuss today. And to be honest, I'm just going to tell the audience this. This goes against everything that I'm supposed to do in radio, that I've been trained to do for years now for other places, cover a bunch of topics. I have a consultant, a good guy, that does like a wheel, and the wheel shows you each topic you talk about. And you're supposed to have a nice, pizza pie. You're not supposed to have something that is just a couple things. But darn it, I can't help it. So the first thing I want to talk about is Minnesota, of course, and Renee Good specifically. This is the woman that was shot by ICE, that was definitely trying to run over an ICE agent. If you haven't seen the latest video that came out yesterday, it is cell phone coverage or cell phone footage from the cop. Like, he turned on his cell phone. He probably has a body camera too, but that's not what it is, which says something, by the way. The fact that ICE agents anywhere in our country, in Minnesota especially, are deciding to put cell phones in their pocket and turn on the camera there so they have a secondary video recording outside of any sort of, camera that they might have on them. That's sort of amazing. But we'll get to that. We'll talk about that at some point. But let's talk about Renee Good. The reason I want to discuss her so badly is, in my opinion, and I've seen a couple other pundits in social media say this, but not a lot of people make this claim, she is a victim, not of the ICE agent, but of the radical, crazy, ridiculous conversation that's happening on the left. She is someone who was radicalized by those positions. Here's some things that you may or may not know about Renee Good. She has a kid that was in school. The school was big on advocacy, I guess. So the school created this anti-ICE group where some of the parents would show up at these things where ICE agents are lawfully doing their job. By the way, I hate that I have to say that out loud, but it seems important. The ICE agents are following the law. They're doing the thing that they were asked to do when they got their job, that our government wants them to do. They have every right to do the thing they're doing, removing people who are illegally here in this country. I know most of the audience at KSEV and KGBC does not need me to tell them that. But anyone out there who's insane, I feel like I can at least say that again, that they have every right to do their job. Anyway, this school that this woman's kid goes to radicalizes or helps radicalize, along with mainstream news media and the ridiculous mayor in Minnesota, who's an absolute piece of crap. Some of the things the mayor has said and done are beyond stupid. But anyway, they force these women, well, I don't know if force is the right word. They convince these people that they should go be out in the streets when ICE is around. And they, blow whistles and scream stuff and just act ridiculous. And these are actual cops doing an actual job. I just want to say it one more time. One of the first people I thought of when I heard about this story in Minnesota the other day, and of course the actual takeaway is that someone got shot and someone is dead. But nonetheless, the first person I thought of was the crazy lady in the Nick Shirley video. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, it's the crazy woman who's yelling at this YouTuber as he's demonstrating how corrupt so many of the fraud child care places are in Minneapolis and in Minnesota. And she's just yelling, "Don't open up," to the daycare and claiming that ICE is outside. It's not ICE. It's a YouTuber. It's a kid, along with, I think, one of his listeners who also had some information that was valuable. But this is how crazy it is. This woman is incredibly disruptive and doesn't give a crap if it's cops or not. I'll play some audio just so you remember it in case you forgot it. I actually have to make sure that it comes out of the right spot here. I have to make sure that the audio plays into our system so then you can hear it out of our system. So give me 1 second on that, and we are good to go. And now I just want to play it again because she's just screaming crazy stuff.
Going illegally, fraudulently to this business that has
It's
quality
ICE.
learning
Don't
center but
open
can't even
up.
spell learning right on the door.
Don't open up!
Ma'am, we are
We're not ICE, ma'am.
not ICE.
I don't care who you are, you don't belong here.
Why do you, by the way? But anyway, so I thought of that woman immediately. So there's tons and tons of people out there that are doing this sort of stuff, and mainstream media is absolutely to blame. Left-leaning media is to blame, telling people that cops are bad guys. And so Renee Good, out in the world with her wife, and I guess her dog was in the backseat of the car, trying to disrupt ICE agents legally doing their job. She's now dead. The people I blame, although I do blame Renee Good for the decision she made, it does seem like she was trying to turn her vehicle away from the ICE agent, but also running them over. If you've seen the video, you know definitively that he was getting hit by a car. The car is sitting on a patch of ice. The officer is standing on ice in the street, so he slides. He doesn't exactly move the way you would normally move if you were getting out of the way. You kind of slide, which I think might have saved his life. There's a chance that if there wasn't ice in the ground, that car might have lurched forward differently, and that cop might be dead. And by the way, the other thing that you may or may not have heard of, may not have heard about this story, is that cop had been dragged by a vehicle before. So talk about a terrifying moment. And so there's something else I want to do, actually. I want to debate who Renee Good is to an extent, or the person like her is in our society now. They wake up in the morning. They think to themselves that they're going to make some sort of big impact in the world. They're going to change something. They're a social justice fighter. In the world of psychology, if you look at the people who do this, the crazy radical, on either side of the aisle, but the crazy radical people out there, often, not all the time, but often, they're insane. What I mean by that is they're incredibly arrogant. They're incredibly full of themselves. They're not doing this to protect anybody else. They're doing this for their own mental health or lack thereof. That's why they go out. There's tons of studies about the narcissism of people who wind up being at the forefront of this stuff. And someone who's acting the way that these two women acted toward the cops demonstrates that they think they're better than all this. I'm higher than this. You can't tell me what to do, officer. I'm in the right. I've decided I'm in the right. I've been radicalized by media. I'm going out into the world and I'm fighting. And I don't care who I'm fighting. I don't care what I'm doing. But anyway, they wake up in the morning. They do their thing. They wind up in this situation. The woman is now shot and killed. And most of the crazy people in Minnesota are out there screaming and yelling at how horrible this is. So there's a second component to this story that matters a lot too. And that's, how is a cop supposed to do his job? That's my question. To anybody out there, if you want to answer the question, you can yourself. We do have a phone number. I don't take a lot of calls, but I can try to. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-KSEV. Here's the challenge to me in how a cop is supposed to do their job, all right? So, and I'll tell you something, it's not terribly connected to this, but it'll help you understand my mindset, my level of understanding of the situation, to share a story with you. When I was in Chicago, I had a radio show, and someone invited me as a radio guy to partake in an active shooter training inside a school, which was sort of crazy. Valuable and important. I think the cops got a lot out of it. But nonetheless, it's sort of weird to show up at an actual grade school and then play the bad guy, which is what I did. I also played a civilian several times. And the only reason I'm telling you this, by the way, actually, this is funny. This is an aside. Before I get back to the main topic, this to me was amusing. One of the times that I was a bad guy, I surrendered. Most of the times I got shot. Like, I was shooting at the cops, they'd shoot back, and I'd be, ended. The threat would be ended. But one of the times I decided to throw my weapon and, get on my knees and surrender. And a young cop, flipped me over. He beat the crap out of me a little bit. And I was happy about it. He got yelled at by another cop, hey, this is just a training. Don't do this. And I was like, I don't know, man. I think this kid needs this. I think that if I was surrendering after shooting up a school, not only would I, the bad guy, deserve to have the crap kicked out of me, but this young guy, I think, needs to, he's in it. He's in the moment. He's pretending it's real. I think he's doing the training the right way. So I didn't mind getting beat up. But anyway, the other thing that happened during that day was I noticed something about how the cops would perform their checks of all the different rooms. They would keep their gun down. They'd have their gun drawn, but they wouldn't point it. They would turn corners, and I would be an active shooter making noise. So essentially, they'd know what room I was in as they were turning a corner, and yet still their gun would be down toward their hip. And I remember asking the cops, I'm like, why are you doing that? You're turning the corner. You know I'm there. You hear the gun. Why do you have your gun down to your side? They're like, we have to. The reason they have to do that is that if there's a civilian and the cop points his gun at the civilian, he can get sued for that. In that situation, at least in Illinois, I don't know if that's true here in Texas, but I assume it's true everywhere. How insane is that? That it's an active shooter training, it's at a school, so if you're pretending it's a real thing, there's someone who's taking the lives of children. You're a cop, you have a gun, you have another cop next to you. You turn the corner into the room where you hear gunfire. You know that there's someone there that's doing something horrible, and you cannot raise your weapon until you're sure that the person you're looking at is the person that you not even raise it. I'm not saying you should just go shooting into the room. Of course, you should only fire on the bad guy. But nonetheless, I just think that's interesting. And there's so many other rules like that. And our society is so crazy right now, and has been for the last few years, at least the Democrats are, the crazy left-leaning people are, that they yell and scream that cops are the bad guys. So you have these people agitating situations. You have these cops who have unique rules and how they're even capable of engaging when something in their body is telling them to do it differently. And in the sake, again, of the case in Minnesota, of the story in Minneapolis and the thing that happened there, you have a cop who'd been hit by a car before and obviously didn't draw their gun and fire on someone, so they were dragged by a vehicle. And so now all of these things mesh together, all of these variables, arrogant people in the street thinking that they can tell cops what to do, that they're the authority and not the police officer, and someone's dead. And the craziest thing about this, the worst thing about this, I think I should say before I take my first break, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the other big story to me that's out there. But the craziest thing about this is the way media is handling it now. Because talk about unrepentant. Talk about people who do not care if they continue to create these sort of situations. And remember, this is the same media that very often tells you that Trump's the bad guy, even if Trump himself doesn't do something bad. Meaning that anyone who does anything, if they somehow are a voter of Trump, they can be connected to MAGA, then this person has obviously been radicalized by Trump. But when you see it out in plain daylight, in front of everyone, that the left has radicalized these people and they're doing crazy things and they're putting themselves in harm's way and pretending as though they're not, and then somebody dies, an officer had no choice, in my opinion, in that situation, to do what they did to defend themselves. Regardless, again, of what you think of how the vehicle was turning, of how serious you should take that moment. I, again, remind you of the guy that I was training with in Illinois who treated me like a real shooter because he's supposed to. That's his training. And he acted the way he's supposed to act. These are the things cops need to do to be effective at their job. But nonetheless, the mainstream media outlets that are continuing to radicalize people do not care. They have to be able to see it. They're so hyper-focused on it when they do it the other way that there's no way they can ignore this. So they talk about people who should be arrested for being an accomplice, complicit in this murder. I think there's a ton of people connected to media, connected to all the different sources that scream and yell that it's a good thing to be out there on the street disrupting ICE like a moron, which so many of these people are, and saying that, just keep doing that, everything's fine. If something bad happens, by the way, it's the cop's fault. It's insane. But all right, we're going to take a break. After we take a break, we're going to get into the second big story that I think is out there in the world today. That would be the Bayou and the amount of bodies that we're finding over the last few years and already in the beginning of this year. And I think it's insane. I've talked to some Houston cops, so I have some information. I cannot tell you the names of the people that I've talked to, but I have some information that might be valuable in the world of the bodies in the Bayou. So that's coming up in a bit. Craig Collins Show, the voice of Texas, KSEV, KGBC. Thrilled to have you with us.
Phone lines are open now. Call 281-558.
Hey, that was my bad. I keep it totted down in case you are testing something and don't want to go over there, but I'll remember to pot it back up when you get back on.
And healthy trees increase your property value, but sick, ugly trees will decrease the value of your home. That's why I recommend you call Ability Tree Experts at 281-441-4179. Caring for the beautiful and valuable trees on your property that you can replace. That's why you need to call my friend Louis Flory and Ability Tree Experts. I've known them for over 40 years. Gosh, this guy is the pro when it comes to taking care of trees. Well-fed and pruned tree will be less susceptible to wind damage and uprooting. You know, pruning is important for the health of your trees and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs. So don't wait to protect your investment. Call Lewis Flory now at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, receive a deep root feeding with every tree prune. That's Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Enough already.
We can do more.
Enough already. We can find a cure.
Enough already.
We can do better for our kids.
Enough already. We are relying on you.
Childhood cancer is the leading cause of death by disease for children in our country. We can do something about that. We can come together to support the best research for safer, more effective treatments and cures for our kids. We can come together to support Children's Cancer Research Fund, a national nonprofit dedicated to ending childhood cancer that is on the front line of breakthroughs. Because
it's enough already.
Go to childrenscancer.org to join us. Go to childrenscancer.org today.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate. At O'Hara & Company Real Estate, we believe in God, family, and country. In the past 50 years, people have been trying to remove all three of those from our thinking. Fight for what you believe in and protect your freedoms before they're all taken away. Don't let anyone infringe on your rights. If you need a real estate company, call O'Hara & Company Real Estate, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
We want people of honor and integrity representing us in Congress. We want people that have to live by the same rules we do.
Uphold the Constitution. That's what I want.
I have a new grandchild, and I want her to have the same America as I had growing up.
As a veteran, I am sick and tired of somebody.
Okay, you're next. Here we go, sir.
For what we've done in our country.
An independent voice for conservative opinions. The Voice of Texas.
This is the Craig Collins Show. KSEV, KGBC, the Voice of Texas. Thrilled to be with you. A bunch of stuff out there to talk about. The phone number, 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738 if you want to be a part of the show. I know we take a lot of calls here at KSEV. I'm not used to doing that, at least not over the last few years as a radio host. So I promise to try, is the best that I can say. All right, I want to get into the Bayou topic. So the other big thing outside of what's happening in Minnesota this year already, in 2026, we already have two crazy stories, at least locally, is the amount of bodies that we've been pulling out of the bayou. I think we already have two for this year, which is crazy. One or two. I don't know when we think that the bodies were put in the bayou and if that changes the number, but I know we found at least one. And so I just want to tell you some other things about this. And then I'm going to get into some information I've gained by talking to some people who are part of the police force here in town. But anyway, since 2017, it's over 200. In 2017, it was 20 bodies. 2018, 17 bodies. 2019, 12. And then numbers jump up. In 2020, it's 26 or 27 bodies, depending on what outlet you look at, I guess. 16 in 2021, 20 in 2022, 22 bodies in 23, 35 last year, and at least 35 2 years ago, in 24, and then 35 at least last year, and then two more. So it's over 200 bodies that have been pulled out of the bayou. Here's the thing that I know from some law enforcement people in town, and they can't go on the record. They don't want to go on the record, and none of this information that I'm giving you means there's any sort of active investigation going on. But there are definitely cops who believe this could be a serial killer. Not all the bodies. And I know that they keep telling us that it's not a serial killer, which probably makes some of these people even more feel that there is. And at least this person that I talked to said, yeah, there's reasons for us to think this is what this could be. It could be a mixture of some of the bodies are stupid people doing dumb things, getting drunk, people intentionally trying to drown themselves in the bayou. There's a bunch of dark other explanations. But here's the thing that I learned that I thought was crazy. and I don't think we're being told all this publicly, some of these killings have eerily similar things beside the Bayou stuff. There's other stuff that's eerily similar about some of these cases that make some people believe, at least connected to, or maybe not within an investigation, but outside around the periphery of it, that, of course, one of the things they should be doing is having a more honest conversation about the potential that we have a serial killer here in Houston. I'm not telling you we have one, by the way. I need to be abundantly clear about that for legal reasons and a bunch of other reasons. But they should at least be telling us that that's more of a possibility than they are. And here's the craziest part of what I was told, and the scariest part. The reason that some of them think they're not, I can't tell you why the people who actually are telling us that these are not people I talk to, that there are no serial killers, that there's no such situation going on here in our city. I don't know what those people think, but I know, again, people around this situation, people close enough to it, they don't have any suspect. And so it would terrify the public to tell us that there's a thing happening if they have no potential solution. And that is pretty scary. I got to be honest. That's the kind of thing that the person that I talked to, when they said that to me, I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, this is part of the reason that you don't go out to the public and say, hey, we think that some of these murders, some of these people's bodies that we're finding in the bayou are too close. It's too strange, the similarities, beyond just the fact that you're finding the body dumped somewhere. And so we think that maybe this is something that could be going on and has been going on for a while. But if you have no suspect, you have no lead, you have no person you believe responsible, then what are you doing? You're just scaring society. I don't agree with that, by the way. I'm not saying that it's a situation that I myself think we should be in, if that's true. I think that if anyone within the police force or anyone that's connected to any of these, discoveries wants to be more honest with us, I would applaud them for doing it. And if that honesty is the thing that I was told, that they would say that, yeah, there's suspicion that something like this is happening. And I guess this goes back to something else. To me, it's a great example, a terrible thing, but a great example of something that I think we get a whole lot of now in our society. We get told that the truth is being kept from us because it's better for us. That's usually the biggest excuse, the biggest one out there. And again, I can't tell you definitively that this is what the people closest to these stories are feeling. I just know what I've heard that's on, again, I think the best way to describe it, the periphery of those situations. But I bet you there's somebody out there, I don't know if they'd want to give us their real name, that would want to call in and be a part of the show, 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-KSEV, and potentially jump on and say, yeah, that they think this too. Maybe even a law enforcement person or someone like that. I don't know. But someone could jump in, be a part of the show if they want to. But nonetheless, again, I just think it's sort of crazy that we're so often told that you can't handle the truth. It's literally the quote from the movie, that we can't handle it, we shouldn't be told about it. And we're at a point in society now where so much stuff is available to us. So much information can be found so easily online that it's insane to tell us that you can't handle the truth. We're going to find it out anyway. This is like when your kid first realizes that you're not telling them something. When that first thing breaks, the kid, for I think a lot of the very early parts of life, assumes everything mom and dad says is true. They're basically God, I think is what some studies have said. As a young kid, what we think as we get older, I'm a Catholic, that God is, a lot of young kids see that in their parents. And so that first moment, however young you are, whatever it is that happens, where you know that they're actually lying to you, your parents, I think it breaks something. I think there's some sort of snap there. Not that you go crazy or anything, but I think it's a thing that you realize, oh, wait a minute, people are flawed, these people are lying to me. And I guess it depends on how young you are when that happens. And this is just an odd thing. I'm just going to share it because I feel like it. I found out that one of my two parents was not a good person at a very young age. That's all I can say about that. I shouldn't really dive into it more. I mean, I could, but it's not important. That would be making the show about me. That's not the point. But I think that that's one reason that I'm so skeptical of so much news media. That so much news that I see out there, I think this probably isn't true. This can't be the truth. That doesn't mean I know the truth. I'm not jumping on here and trying to be full-on conspiratorial about everything in the world going on. Because if you can't back the things you're saying, then you're just lying into a microphone, and you're making things worse, not better. And a whole lot of media does that. But anyway, I think that's why you doubt this story. And to be honest, some of the people I've talked to that are within the police department that might not be, again, assigned to the investigation. I want to keep saying that. I want to make sure that that's apparently clear, that I'm not claiming that I know someone within an investigation who believes that this is a serial killer that's dumping bodies in the bayou. But that same skepticism feels like it's alive and well with a whole lot of these officers, too, or a whole lot of people that do this kind of work throughout our country and potentially in this story. There's people who might be on the outside looking in and saying, of course, this is what I think it is, because how could it be that other thing? But it is just, it's crazy. And we deserve to talk about it for more than a couple minutes on the show. 34, 35 bodies 2 years in a row. The numbers ticked up over the last couple years, and they seem to keep going a certain way. And I want to be clear about one last thing, because if there's a suspicion about something but not an actual belief that they know more than that, if it's just a suspicion, it could easily be more than one person. When you say something about a serial killer, you don't have to mean one lone individual. You could mean a group of people that are doing horrible, terrible things as, a collective, and then all following the same recipe of how they get rid of a body. But it'll be interesting to see if this trend of more bodies in the bayou continues to go upward. If we go from some 20-something over the last couple years to then 30-something over the last 2 years, and then we keep seeing 30 and 40, and when Houston will start paying attention. That's the last part, too. That's the last thing I meant to say about this before we take another break. We'll come back from a second break, and we'll do some other things, more fun things. The other thing that's crazy, and this was a discussion I had with, again, someone I can't name, is that a lot of people aren't paying attention. Like, a lot of people see these stories right now in our community and go, oh, that's not good. Oh, that's bad. And then just move on. And I guess I wanted to know, and maybe you want to tell me if you want to call in, but I think I can take a guess at it. But I'll give you the phone number one more time, 281-558-KSEV, if you want to be a part of this discussion. I think one of the reasons people aren't paying attention to it now is how many things have overwhelmed people. COVID, one of the biggest things that succeeded, at least from the terrible stuff that they did to control people, the things they said that we had to do, the things that we found out didn't really help any of us at all, social distancing, all that stuff. There's so many studies now that prove a bunch of the things that the high and mighty of our society claimed we had to do were not at all valuable to us. Zero benefit whatsoever. I think that being overwhelmed thing is now working to our negative for a lot of those people. I think there's a lot of people who listen to all those rules because they just were overwhelmed. They just were like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to fight. I don't want to, argue. I don't think that was the right decision, of course, but I think there's a lot of people who just decided to stand down because. Why not? And I think that that's going on again, too. I think that we should be demanding more information about what's happening in the bayous and the bodies, and if there's anything similar, again, about these deaths beyond just the fact that the bodies are found in the bayou, that makes us curious, makes us wonder more things, because I think that would be an important thing for society to know and to talk about. But anyway, those are the two biggest topics to me. Renee Good, someone who I think was radicalized by both media and her own surrounding community, and even the school that her kid goes to, which is crazy. And then the bodies in the bayou that seem as though right now there's something they're not telling us. I can't tell you definitively that's true. It's just the feeling that more of us should be getting as we keep seeing the story. And I'm relatively new to Houston. So I don't know if that means I have an outside looking in perspective on it that helps me think this is weird. I'm sure people would criticize that and say, well, you don't know. We have dead bodies in the bayou all the time. That's just a part of being a Houstonian, is you'll just get used to that story, which sounds crazy. But I'm sure the people that are telling me I'm wrong will yell that at their radios. And I don't care. To be honest, I don't care about that either, because I think the truth matters. And I'll tell you, all right, one last thing. Today's like a story day for some reason on the Saturday show. There have been times in my own career where a public narrative was so wrong that you're like, and it's little, this is stuff you wouldn't really know about, things that happen other places, but the public narrative was so flawed that once you start diving just a little bit deeper, you find out all the reasons that it's definitely not the truth. And this is talking to people. On a community level, it's easier to make a phone call. One of my favorite things that happened, this was a public television station that had a really insane story in the news. I feel like I've referenced it on the show before, but it's really insane. And the way they were trying to go about covering up aspects of what inevitably was fraud was to fire some people and pretend they never existed. That is a very, very simplified way of describing this story. So as a person that was in media, I called the television station and I asked them to talk to one of the two people that never worked there. I used a real name, and the receptionist had not been informed of the public lie, so told me, oh, that person's on vacation. And I was like, oh, really? Can I get forwarded to their voicemail? I get forwarded to the voicemail. I leave a voicemail, and I go, this person definitely works here. This is absolutely a person that at least up until recently had a gig. And I guess I got the receptionist fired, which made me mad. I didn't intend to do that. But it's just funny how easily you can thwart a narrative if you try. And so I guess the last thing I'll say is that it seems very often in our society, whether it's because a whole lot of people are just overly stressed or overwhelmed and not willing to do it, that they just don't try. And so I'm going to keep trying on the Bayou story. That's a promise I'll make to the KSEV and KGBC listeners. I'm going to dive deeper. I'm going to try to get more information, get more people to talk to me, eventually hopefully get people on the record and see if there's anything here. I'm not saying there is. I'm just saying that I'm curious enough about it that I'll make that pledge on this station, and that'll be something that probably will be a part of the Saturday show for a little while now. We're going to try to make some cracks in the case, if there is a case to be cracked, as far as the Bayou story goes. All right, we'll take a break. We're going to do a lot of other stuff after this. I like to have fun when I'm on the radio, even if it's just 1 hour and on a Saturday. So I have some much lighter things to discuss. KSEV, KGBC, the Voice of Texas, and the Craig Collins Show.
Information you can count on. From political insiders you can trust. The Voice of Texas.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate in O'Hara Homes. Davy Crockett addressed the Tennessee Congress after losing his bid for a seat. You may all go to hell. I'm going to Texas. Apparently, a lot of other people from other states are feeling the same way lately. We have people coming to Texas from every state in the union. I think they are looking for a state with more conservative views. The word Texas comes from the Caddo Nation.
Yeah, you're like me. You call the TV stations when you see them do, like on the Minnesota thing. I saw two reports, and they didn't say anything about the ICE officer being there we go.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
This is the Voice of Texas, KSEV, KGBC. My name is Craig Collins. This is the Craig Collins Show. Thrilled to be with you. Lots of stuff out there to talk about. Real quick, I'm going to do something called palate cleansers. I do them on radio shows from time to time. They're ways to get away from the serious crap that I just talked about for the first 40 minutes of this show and to do other things. Palate cleansers are brought to you by somebody. That's El Bandito Yankee Tequila. Hey, Houston. This season, always win with the undefeated flavor of El Bandito Yankee, the official tequila of game day. El Bandito Yankee is an all-natural, ultra-premium tequila made only from 100% Blue Weber agave and with that rich smoothness for no tequila burn. It's true. You do shots of this thing, and you're like, man, I don't feel as terrible as when you do a shot of a worse tequila. Platinum and gold medals all around for the Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. It's rated as one of the world's top tequilas by Rolling Stone and a bunch of other magazines. Be sure to break out the Bandito at Net Bar and Escalante's or pick up a bottle today at Specs. And for events, recipes, more places to purchase, visit, all that stuff, get information, elbanditoyankee.com. That's elbanditoyankee.com. They bring us our palate cleansers. These are less serious stories that are definitely not things that matter in the news, but things that probably are fun. This Friday was Quitter's Day. For anyone that doesn't know this, Quitter's Day is the day you give up on your New Year's resolution. So you make it for about a week after you start, whatever that resolution is, and only 2% of you make it this far into the new year being fully consistent, fully committed to the resolution, which is crazy. It does sound bad. They say the reason why so many people fail to do the resolution is because you set your goals way too high. Before the Ozempics and the Wegovy's of the world, it wasn't possible to lose 30 pounds in like 30 days. And now it seems like it is possible for people to do this. And I don't know if you are like me, but I know more and more people now who are disappearing. Like their bodies are just vanishing before my eyes because they're on one of those things, which is great. There's people who seem to really need that. And I'm sure it also makes you a little bit jealous if you're someone that's the typical getting older, getting heavier all the time guy like I am that would like to lose a little bit of weight, and you don't have the cheat code that someone else does. But this is a good thing. But anyway, the biggest reason we fail at our resolution is we set the bar way too high, and a whole lot of us can't hack whatever the crazy thing is that we said we're going to do. So the lesson here is to set the bar lower. I think Homer Simpson is fairly famous for saying that standards should be as low as possible. We want to lower those down a little bit more, and then eventually they're good. Actually, the Homer quote that I love is, trying is the first step to failure. That is a great Homer Simpson quote. A terrible idea. You shouldn't tell it to kids, but a hilarious thing nonetheless. Hobbies that seem to attract the kindest people were listed on Reddit and some other places. These are essentially the places you need to go when you also want to be palate cleansed as just a human in our society. You want to be around nice people. You don't want to have a conversation about insane stuff. These are the cheat code places to go. You decide if this is true. I don't know if this is true. Number one on this list, pottery and ceramic arts. They say that people who do that, if you go there, and my wife has wanted to do this really bad, take like a date night class thing where you go and they teach you how to make a pot, which I have no interest whatsoever in doing. I do it for the missus. If Betty tells me to go, I'll do that. My pot will be terrible. I don't think it'll look good. I probably won't put in enough effort to learn how to do it, but I'll do it. But anyway, pottery, ceramic arts, that's a place to meet nicer people, I guess. Also, crochet and any sort of thing like that. Fiber arts is what they call them. Again, something I can't picture myself ever doing. Bird watching and beekeeping are number 3 and 4 on this list. And then 5 is hiking. I feel like it changed a lot there from pottery and crochet to the other things on the list. Beekeeping, not a fan. I had a neighbor for the house we had in Illinois that had bees. It annoyed the crap out of me. And there was one day where my dog was barking like crazy at the bees, and I think they all swarmed in like a bee tornado is what I thought I saw happening. And it was intimidating. Let's say that. The dog and I survived, of course, because bees. But nonetheless, I think they were coordinating and getting ready to attack my dog, and then we went inside. But that's one of the reasons I don't like the beekeeping people. I know you're out there. I know you're probably mad at that. I don't care. I think it's keep something else. Have an actual pet. You don't need the bees. Honey is very easily available in a whole bunch of stores. It's fine. But anyway, those are some of the hobbies out there. See, and this is why I can't be a part of these groups. They won't invite me because I'll bah humbug the whole thing of the beekeeping. And then finally, one last thing that I just thought was interesting as far as palate cleansers, brought to you by El Bandito Yankee Tequila. The top 10 analog trends we're embracing this year for people who want to get away from their technology. This is hilarious to me. Hilarious because the younger you are, the more you think this is an original idea. If you're of a certain generation, and even my generation, which wasn't raised with as much technology as the kids today have now, you remember very easily a time in your life where you didn't have the option of technology, where you just lived life. You went outside. All the other kids in the neighborhood were outside. You all played, and then you all went inside when you were done playing. A lot of us lived that life. A lot of us enjoyed that life. So the kids who are doing it now and acting like it's some sort of a mate, which kind of I guess it is because of how many easy technology things we do have now. But it's funny because so many of us are like, yeah, you should be doing this the whole time. But anyway, these are some of the things on the list of stuff that I guess you can do if you want to get away from technology. Read a book is number 2 on this list. I love that. Not an ebook, not listen to a book on tape in a car. Read a book. Use a paper calendar is number 3. Play a board game or a card game or something, a physical game, number 4. Number 5 on this list is use an alarm clock, not your phone to wake. I need to do that. My phone needs to be out of my bed. My wife would like it if I put my phone somewhere other than the room when we're going to sleep. But I also just need it. I need to do the alarm clock thing again. I've done it before. And then finally, number 1 on this list, I thought this was interesting. If you want to free yourself of technology and you're somehow addicted to it, probably not of generations that didn't have it for a long time in their lives, then you have to take actual notes in a notebook. That's the best thing to do. Keep a diary or a notebook of some kind. You do that, and apparently you're all clear. Everything's great. You'll be just fine. All right. Those are some palate cleansers. Those are some sillier topics out there, or just some less serious topics out there to talk about. A couple other quick things as far as big stories go. ICE and Border Patrol shootings have sparked hundreds of protests. I don't know if it's hundreds of people or just a few people in a bunch of places, but there have been a lot of protests. New cell phone footage that seems to show the Minneapolis police officer being hit very much by the car that was being driven by the woman, Renee Good, seems to not have quelled any of this craziness. As I said to open the show, and I'll say again, media is radicalizing people. They're doing it willingly, and they're one of the first people to yell and scream that a politician is doing this, and they're doing it, and they should know they're doing it. I think they do know they're doing it. They don't care. Iran had a bunch of protests. Another night of death and just craziness occurring there. It seems to me, when you're talking about just news stories out there, be an easily missed thing, the Iran stuff, and the president doesn't seem to be missing that. President Trump recently in an interview said that if bad things keep happening in Iran, especially to protesters, the U.S. is going to intervene. He's been very clear about that multiple times with Hannity and others. So I think that there's a lot of potential that winds up being a real thing out there. I don't have the call screen open. I know we got at least a call on hold, and I don't have this call screen. I'm just going to take the call. I don't know their name. No, you're talking to them right now, right? It's just.
Yeah, it's right. Go ahead, Mike. It's Mike.
Mike is the one that's on the phone. Okay, Mike. Mike, what's your name? Well, where are you calling from, Mike?
I'm calling from Tomball.
What do you want to say?
Well, I was listening to what you said, and I agree with the concepts about this, what's happening with the country, what you mentioned about, the lady did clip the knee of the officer. Now,
okay, I want real quick, Mike. I'm sorry to interrupt you because I want to let you say whatever you want to say. But she did more than clip the knee. The only reason that he spun out of the way so fast is because it was icy. So the guy got hit by a car while he was standing on ice, and it moved him out of the way. He would have been more than just knee clipped, I think, if it had not been icy road conditions. But go ahead.
Well, maybe true. I don't know. I can't. I've looked at what's available.
Sure.
He is a former officer that was dragged. I understand that.
Yep.
So he's been injured before. He may have not should have been in the field that soon because of that. That's a possibility. And he may be hypersensitive to pulling his weapon. That can happen to officers, not just ICE, but other officers as well. I looked at it. There's no question she's guilty of hitting him. I don't question that.
Yeah.
I don't think the intent was to kill him. From what I can tell, she was turning, and it looks like an accident to me. Now, people may disagree with me.
Sure.
That's just my view from what I see in the film. But here's what needs to happen.
Go ahead.
Both sides, the extreme right and extreme left, need to calm down and let the FBI do a professional investigation and find out really what happened.
I agree with
Okay?
you.
I don't trust ICE. I don't trust the locals.
Okay.
I want the FBI. They are professional. They will do a thorough job if they let them do it.
It's not like
And we'll
they
find out
haven't.
what
It's
happened.
not like they haven't lied to us too. I'm going to be honest about that. I don't mean to be the turd in the punch bowl here, Mike. But the FBI does not have a great track record of being honest either. And I think trust more local law enforcement or law enforcement in general at times than I would trust people in media to get this story right. By and large, as I think you're saying. But there's something really interesting that you said in the middle there that I think was important. You say that all the things you saw from your periphery, from my periphery, the same thing we both got to experience together, we got to watch this video online. We weren't in the moment. Now, if you thought to yourself that you're the officer, and I know you said that you think that maybe he's in the field too soon, maybe he's sensitive to it, you got hit by a car, man. I don't know how to say that differently. You're a police officer. You get hit by a vehicle. You have your weapon for exactly this type of thing. The vehicle can kill you. Like all the aspects of it from a simple training background would tell you this is a moment where you're allowed to use deadly force because you don't know. In that moment, when the car starts to hit you, do you think the police officer from his vantage point is absolutely sure that the woman is trying to turn as far to the right as the rest of us think that we can see she is from watching it on video and seeing where the car ends up? I think that's sort of cavalier of so many of us to say that this officer should have been able to process all of this and that it might be some sort of, previous experience that's the reason they acted the way they did. If you're fully justified within the law to use your weapon, which the minute the car hits the guy, I think anyone will say he was justified to use force, then how could you be wrong for doing it? I just don't get it. I think that training for police and for one second. I think training for police and for military and for everyone else is very definitive. You do this in this moment when it's necessary, when we believe that it's the right thing to do, because 9 times out of 10 or 99 out of 100, it's the thing you need to do. This is your training. Follow your training. Like I said before, when I did the active shooter drill in Illinois, I heard a lot of that. People saying, this is the training, do the training, just be ready in these instances. So how can we say that with our vantage point, our, Monday morning quarterbacking, that the cop did anything wrong?
I'm not saying he's guilty of murder. I'm not saying that.
I know.
What I'm saying is from my vantage point and from when she was turning, she hit him, no question.
Right.
I don't know that it was intentional on her part to try to hit him.
Yeah.
There's no way to determine that from our perspective yet.
Right.
Look at the ICE. I'm going to do a comparison. Look at ICE officers and look at FBI.
Sure.
Okay? The FBI are highly trained. The field agents, not the political guys, but the field agents are highly trained.
Yeah.
They're professional. Look at the ICE guys that are out there. A lot of them, not all of them, but some of them look like thugs, look like bounty hunters.
I don't know. I don't know why you think
there's
that.
Less.
I got to be honest. I don't know why you think that.
Just look at them.
Yeah.
Just look at some of them.
Hold on. I am looking at them. I'm going to put you on hold. You might get back on the air. I'm not sure. I am looking at them, and it's crazy to say that you think they all look like thugs. Like that. That's insane. They look like cops. They look like people who are doing the job of being a cop. I don't know what you think a thug versus a cop looks like. And I know a lot of them are wearing masks. I know that's a thing that's happening. And if there's anything out there that makes a lot of people believe that ICE agents are somehow thugs, like Mike says. It's because of the mask. But that's a problem in our society right now. They're trying to dox and hurt these people. These radical, crazy people who are in the street that are being told to disrupt law enforcement. Here, I'll give you one last story. I have like 4 minutes left, 3 minutes left. Mike, thank you for the call. I'm probably not going to get you back on the air, but thank you for jumping in and being a part of it. I appreciate most of what you said and the honesty in which you said it, but I wholeheartedly disagree with you about the description of ICE agents, and not because I'm politically on a certain side of the aisle. I'm looking at the same video you're looking at. I don't see what you're seeing. I just simply don't see it. But anyway, a quick story. This has almost nothing to do with all the serious news that's out there, but it's the best way to tell you my brain, how my brain works, why I say the things I do on this radio show. I was 20-something in Chicago, and I got a 4-pack of root beer, the IBC root beer, the one with the like glass bottle, and I sat at Wrigley Field. There's no Cubs game. I don't even think the season was happening, and I was drinking my root beer, and a police car drives by me, sees me, stops, throws the lights on, throws the sign, like, oh, everything's crazy, drives right up to me on the sidewalk, man. Like, this was insane. I'm sitting there sipping a root beer, and these 2 cop guys jump out of the car, and they look at me. They're not holding weapons or anything. They weren't about to shoot me. But these 2 Chicago cops jump out of the car and like, what are you doing, son? They thought I was getting hammered in the middle of, like, Wrigley Field, in the middle of the afternoon, just in public, being crazy. And I remember my response in that moment was, I'm nothing. Like, I totally respectful. Like, put the root beer down. I offered each of the cops a root beer. Here's what I didn't do. I didn't try to make a crazy situation immediately worse by being upset that these 2 cops were seemingly overreacting to seeing a guy sipping a glass bottle outside of Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois. Because who knows? Maybe they got a call that somebody who's drunk publicly is also hurting people. I don't know what reason they act this way. But the thing you can't do with cops is immediately provoke them to get madder, to be crazier. And that's what I see in the video. That's the thing I see that's the most important and the worst, the most damaging or damning or whatever you want to call it. I see people purposefully provoking our cops, purposely provoking people that are there to enforce the law. The ICE agent has every right to arrest people who are here illegally. The ICE agent has every right to do the job exactly the way they're asked to do it. And there's nobody who's allowed to run them over or hit them with a car, even if they don't intend to run them over. I don't intend to run you over, but I hit you with my car. Same thing to a cop, dealing with someone, disrupting them. Thank you, guys. Fun show. Thank you to the call. Thank you for everyone for being a part of it. Interesting show. Lots of serious stuff that was talked about. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. Always, always thrilled to be with you. I look forward to being with you again next Saturday. Lots and lots of stuff I assume to talk about, and I want to say it one more time so everyone thinks it was real. I commit to you that I'm going to keep looking into this Bayou stuff and tell you anything I find. Talk to you later.
You're listening to the Voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV Tomball and AM 1540